The UDU, Upland Development United, installed their neighborhood nodes throughout the entirety of Upland. Their reach was unmatched.
Just a quick correction before this video gets going. When I'm talking to TDavis, I mentioned that we got started talking in early November. It was actually early October, which makes more sense when we later talk about what happened during the Halloween events and stuff. Thanks. Okay, so here we are with the Who is UDU series, and today we've got member number 2 in the UDU. This man doesn't really need an introduction. If you have had anything to do with Upland over the last, I don't know, 6-8 months, you would have heard him at least or seen him around. He's, I think, as far as I know, he's only got 8 fingers and 2 thumbs, but he's got his fingers and thumbs in just about every pie you can imagine. TDavis, welcome aboard, mate.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Real glad to get this out of the way. I've been really looking forward to doing this interview with you, man.
Right on. Now, we've been chatting. I had a look through our DM list this morning. And it was funny. I was sitting down for breakfast and I started my coffee and I started scrolling up and I was scrolling and I was scrolling and I was scrolling. And my daughter says, "What are you doing, Dad?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm trying to find when I started talking to TDavis." And, you know, my kids, they hear me talking about various things and they know who you are and that sort of stuff. So I'm scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. And she went to go and get her hair ready for school. And she came back. She said, "Are you still scrolling?" I'm like, "Yep, still going." I got to the end and I just about finished my coffee. And from what I could tell, that was about the 1st of November, 2020.
Wow.
So we've been kicking around for a while, but even then the conversation started like, it wasn't like, "Hello, how you going?" It was a follow-on conversation. So I don't actually know where we first hooked up and got talking.
Oh, so we must, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. We took it to DM, we were talking somewhere. It must have been in the fan server, man. That would probably be too difficult to track down now.
Yeah, I would assume so, unless it was back in the Telegram days. Were you on board then?
Oh, no.
All right. Yes, I'm not sure exactly, but yeah, it was a lot of scrolling and I had a sore finger by the end of it.
Wow, that's fantastic, man. November. Yeah, I would have been, I think, maybe 3 months, 3-4 months in, and that would have been maybe right after Fresno released.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think Fresno released in October, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, if our first conversation was in November, then yeah, we would have really just been getting going in the game of Upland, man.
For sure. Now, normally I ask people, what's the story behind your name or your custom explorer, but yours is pretty straightforward.
So it is, and there is a little bit of a story. It's nothing, really out of this world. When I found Upland, knowing that it was a blockchain-based game, and the probability being that there was an opportunity to get any variation of my name without the series of a long string of characters or numbers following it, I checked. So the first thing I checked was TD, right? My nickname. And of course I couldn't use that because it had to be, I think, 4 characters, maybe for Upland. So I had plugged in my work name, my Microsoft Teams name, being that there was another Trent at another department, and Davis, for those of you overseas, Davis is one of the most common surnames in America. Very common. I'm talking like 50 pages in the phone book common. So I've never had the opportunity to get anything with my first initial, my first name and last name ever in my life until I got into Upland and it said this username is available. I didn't have the foresight to realize how involved in the game that I was going to be. Otherwise, I think I would have chosen something a little less a little more generic. And the avatar, the TD avatar, is a piece of my own artwork that has evolved and was sent over to the Upland graphic designers to interpret into their voxel form. But yeah, I mean, that's the lame story behind the TDavis username in Upland and the TD Block Explorer.
Nice. Yeah, we've seen some clangers getting around, some real shockers of names. Do you know off the top of your head what's the best one you've seen?
The best
Best as in the worst?
Yeah, I've seen some pretty bad ones, man. In fact, I've asked Upland on several occasions and provided them with resources, third-party tools that filter out usernames. Like, there really shouldn't be any reason for some of these words to be getting through. I think there were a few mom joke names that were kind of worth a chuckle.
Yeah. Oh, I always like the ones that come through as Upland sucks or Upland's a ripoff or something.
Right. Like I remember the guy Upland sucks. He had the audacity to come into the Discord to ask for help or why he was in jail or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we kicked around a little bit backwards and forwards, but as I said, I had a look through the DMs, and it wasn't really until I reached out to you about getting a custom Explorer done up for the Halloween event.
Right, yeah.
And it was from there that we kind of started to develop more of a working relationship and a friendship. Can you speak a bit to that?
Yeah, so we had the Halloween Block Explorer event roll out, and from what I recall being the parameters of the, I don't know if necessarily we call it a challenge, but Upland was allowing you to design an overlay. And by overlay, I mean a piece of graphic art, an SVG, or I think PNG were the two formats that were allowed. And it had to go over top of your existing Explorer with some part being transparent, like a costume. So it was the costume version for a piece of graphic art. It had to fit over it, represent some sort of a costume and still be able to see like eye holes or, some part of the original Explorer. And if you submit that, they would upload it into the game and you could float around as, whatever you designed.
Yeah, and there was a parade or something, wasn't there?
Yeah, there sure was. There was the parade, piñatas, the whole 9 yards that Upland does. And I decided that as a token of appreciation for all of my fellow Little Italy, New York property owners, that I would design your Block Explorer. And if I'm not mistaken, I did upwards of 23 or 24 of them.
Yeah, there was a bunch.
Yeah, and so obviously including yours, it was so you had the samurai mask, but you wanted the heavy metal guy. I don't remember who was the artist again.
I think it was Immortal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll add the image to the thumbnail for this video so that people know what we're talking about. I'll put my original one plus the one that you did up. And yeah, I was blown away when you came back and like I gave you the basic outline and you came back with how about this with this completely finished concept, and I was just blown away. And I even reached out to the Upland team and said I really actually like this one better than my original. Can I get it swapped? And I think they give me a line like, oh, you just got to wait for Block Explorer shops. So.
Right. Yeah. What a bummer. I mentioned that transparency part. I think on yours, I don't know that I did. I think there were a few that I was like, eh.
I think you came back and said, I'll make the eye holes transparent. Just so you can pass
You're right. That's exactly. But the eye holes, I think the eyes were black on both of them anyway, and so it didn't matter. But it was technically transparent. So yeah.
Alrighty. Well, getting back, we skipped over a few things. Like we know you're TDavis. We know that you're heavily involved in the game. Where are you from? What are your interests? What do you do when you're not playing Upland?
All right. Well, so I was born and raised in South Jersey. worked the majority of my young adulthood, so between the ages of like 18 and 25, in Atlantic City, the Trump Taj Mahal, a Hard Rock Cafe. There was a strip club in there at one point called the Playground, and I loved everything at Atlantic City and that life had to offer at that time. Looking back, I was a fool, but it was pretty enjoyable because you would make significant amounts of money, in that service industry, working for tips in a poor man's Vegas. You did pretty well. And I think maybe around maybe my 30s, yeah, it had to have been early 30s. I had gotten a call from my father who needed help. He told me he needed help driving some stuff from storage out of a locker in Tucson to a city called Round Rock, Texas. And he told me that he would pay my flight if I came out and help him drive that distance and help him unload it and everything. And, at the time I had no kids, no wife, no real responsibilities, no roots in New Jersey.
In the dream.
Right. And I was able to just, pack some bags and throw everything that wouldn't fit into a plane overhead cargo into my mother's garage, hop on a plane and just say, hey, I'm going to go out and check out Texas and see what Texas is like. And I never went back. I came out to Austin and it blew me away. I really enjoy, I like everything except for the inclement weather here. The extreme heat, I prefer extreme cold to extreme heat, and Texas does not have the extreme cold they have.
Well, except for recently when you had all your dramas.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of extreme cold, we did have that winter storm, but yeah, that landed me here. I found a career with a pretty well-known corporate company and had been working there for the last 12 years. Met my ex at one point. We had a couple kids. Met my fiance. We had a couple more, and that brings me all the way up to finding Upland. And what am I doing in my spare time when I'm not playing Upland? I'm doing something either on the computer or with my family, man. I live a pretty boring life outside of those two, those two things.
Yeah, that kind of mirrors in some respects myself. I was notorious for a while there before, wife and kids and all the rest of it. I'd pack up my Honda Civic and I'd move, I'd get in the car and drive for 20 hours and I'd live in a city for 2 years. And then I packed it up again and drove for 40 hours and moved somewhere else in Australia. And then
Right.
I moved back for another 2 years, and then I just got it in my head, I'm going to go to Japan. So went to Japan for a couple of years, and yeah, it was young and free, mate, young and free.
Right. Yeah. I don't miss that at all. I think it was great that there was a point in my life where that was feasible.
Yeah.
I like, there's pros and cons of both to being firmly rooted in a particular area, and then also being able to just pick up and go without a care in the world.
100%. So how did you find Upland originally?
I was perusing a website called stateofthedaps.com. So for many, I think maybe, I won't want to say many, quite a few people out there know that I am a hobby coder, right? I code React applications. I've created some tools for Upland through the months. And it's because I've always aspired to develop some sort of decentralized application. Originally, it was learning Solidity, which is the language of Ethereum. dApps is what they're called. And State of the dApps was one of the first, websites that brought all of those applications in aggregate, and had links and reviews and all that kind of stuff. And I was just checking to see what was new, what popped up on the most recently viewed and all of that. And I found this this llama ad that said Upland, and when I clicked on it, it didn't take me into the app yet. It took me to like the review page, and I remember seeing the available on Android logo somewhere in there. And at this time, that was unheard of. Like you didn't find dApps on mobile. Like
unless they were
crazy
horrendous.
talk.
Oh, yeah, unless they were horrendous. Yeah, really bad.
Right. And I downloaded it, and I was really impressed. Very much so. I think I skipped right over Visitor. I might have went right to Uplander with a $20 deposit, and then in a matter of, I think, 2 or 3 days, I was already a pro. There was no FSA back then, so there was really no reason to not fiat in if you were going to.
Yep.
And it just just grew from there.
So I missed before, did you start in Fresno?
No, I started in San Francisco. Fresno rolled out, I feel like 2 or 3 months after I started. So I started in August of 2020. And actually, I started right as Manhattan was releasing. That's how the whole Little Italy thing happened to begin with. San Francisco was under 46% sold, or 44%, whatever the very first benchmark was for the bubbles. That's right when I started.
That's right.
I believe there was a University Mound buying frenzy going on right when I started.
Yeah,
if you remember that time period.
Yeah. Oh, when there was open areas to mint everywhere, as far as the eye could see, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yep. So it sounds like you come more from a crypto background, more so than a gaming side of things.
Yeah, definitely not a gaming background at all. I mean, if it's not Madden, then I'm probably not playing it through my late teens and early adult years. I was pretty much strictly sports games and not the MMOs and all those other types of games that are usually really popular with the gaming crowd.
And now recently Minecraft. I saw somebody before saying, "Oh, TD's playing Minecraft" or something.
So that's funny. I am in fact not playing Minecraft. It does show it on my Discord status, I guess. I had my oldest kids this weekend, and that is Uplift World. For anybody who's familiar with that, it's a Wax blockchain metaverse built on top of Minecraft. So I had my oldest son over, and I've never built anything in Minecraft, so I had to have him help me out with my land plots and build some stuff. He built a baby Yoda up, and he put my boundaries from my big square. He made sure that he put down like those campfire things that let off the smoke, so I can see where my boundaries are.
Nice. Yeah, I've got 2 sons as well, and they got Minecraft on their Nintendo Switch, and they're like, "Come on, have a go, Dad." And so I sat down to do it, and they're just pissing themselves laughing. "Oh, Dad doesn't know how to do a block or something." They're just cracking up laughing. So I don't know if you saw it. My second son, he started just on his own back. He said, "Dad, come and have a look at this," and he started making the UDU castle.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So Venom reckons he's going to hook him up with a bit of space in Uplift World as well. So yeah, the second son was pretty excited about the opportunity to play around with that sort of stuff. So
well, yeah, man, I heard they just got their first Wax payouts for playing, and I got 0 because I haven't been playing, and that's
not like you. You're the div master.
Right, man. And so I said, no way. Let me get my son to build some stuff here.
Nice. Very cool. Do you remember getting back to Upland? Do you remember what your first property was?
You know what? I don't, and I don't even know if I still have it. I want to say 629 Grafton, maybe, if that's an address. Is that an address?
I don't know.
I guess I can look it up. And if it is, do I
use the
still
brand
own
new
it?
Upex World. That's what I found mine through there, and I just went and used the transactions and went to the earliest transaction.
Are you sure that would be uh
Yeah, it's with the whole visitor thing and that sort of
okay?
stuff. Yeah, I'm not sure. But
Yeah,
it was definitely in that area, but unfortunately my very first one, yes, it's in the hand of a dead account, I think. So
oh, I do still own that. I think I do still have it. Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah, neat. I think it's 620. That would be my guess. I might not be right with that, but I feel like that is definitely really early there.
Very cool. Now, knowing all of the, well, at least some of the projects that you're involved in, I know what the answer is going to be straight away, but is Upland just a game?
It stopped. It was at one point, and it stopped being so. I think in February or
Yeah, what was the
March.
tipping point, you think?
The explosion of, well, so I would say that NBA Top Shot played a really big role in NFT projects getting really busy all of the sudden because of the headlines it was making with six-figure sales.
Yep.
That's going to attract attention. And then the subsequent media coverage of NFTs and all of that. And when Upland became so busy that they had to stop their roadmap, right? They couldn't continue on their roadmap because they have to go into panic mode and fix this scaling issue. That's when you know that it's more than just a game. People don't rush into games at this state, in my opinion.
Yeah, because
Maybe that's
it was
wrong,
never
right?
about NFTs, was it? Originally.
No,
Yeah.
it was maybe half and half, maybe even less than that.
Yeah.
I think the majority were attracted to either the real estate part of it or the potential to earn. But, you know, and I think somewhere along the line, in fact, I even saw it in a Discord comment earlier. Somebody said something to the effect of like, you know what would be cool? NFT galleries in Upland.
Mm.
And for us, you know, for you and I who have been around for so long, like that was the thing that the NFT crowd was talking about, like NFT galleries in buildings on our property. Like we can't wait. And it's just funny how that kind of got lost in all of the commotion over these last few months.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the case, especially when we talk about what you've got going on with Metaforce and all the stuff that Recuria's got going on, and Mars and Left House and all of those guys. It's definitely a case where the community's just picked this up and is dragging it to a place it probably wasn't headed, and the team's kind of almost trying to scramble to catch up to everybody.
Right. Yeah, man. What a lucky guy I am to be able to team up with those four names that you just mentioned, man. They're, you know, not only Upland legends, they're NFT legends in my, you know, in my eyes. Those guys are phenomenal, man. Yeah, it's pretty cool that at some point I believe that those worlds will definitely, like, they're already pretty intertwined, but I think that at some point you will actually be able to visually see how related and close they are in the game itself. And I'm really looking forward to that day. That'll be awesome. Can't wait to build Umbertos in real, you know, in real Upland.
%. So within Upland, what are some of the lessons you've learned as you've gone along the way, and what are some of your successes within the game, you think?
So what have I learned? Ooh, throw me a curveball. I've learned a ton about blockchain technology, the EOS blockchain in specific, transactions, how they work, what is visible, what is not visible, and let me see, what else have I learned? You know, I guess maybe a lot, quite a bit about the currency UPX itself and the paradox that it almost is. like it's a cryptocurrency, but it's not a cryptocurrency, but it definitely is a cryptocurrency.
The debate rages. Yeah.
Yeah. And just, I guess, everything that goes along with that, all of that I didn't bring into the game. I learned that all while I was here. And what was the second part to that question?
I was just saying, like, you've been incredibly successful at branching outside of the Upland universe. What about something that you feel you've been really successful, like within the app itself, within the gameplay?
Within the game, well, I feel like I've done pretty good with the diverse portfolio, although that's starting to not be the case. But between San Francisco, Fresno, and Manhattan, I felt like I did a pretty good job of playing the game from the economic sense to allow, you're the master of it. And I feel like a little bit of what I've seen you do has rubbed off on me as far as, like selling for a loss to get ahead. Like that didn't really make sense to me. I don't have a really strong, economics background. And when I heard you say that, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. How could you possibly sell for a loss and be ahead? And yeah, I mean, obviously the opportunities that you didn't have if you weren't liquid to have, to make those purchases and such. And
I remember selling Financial District set at 200K under mint to go into something else. That's just unheard of.
Man,
yeah.
I almost made the mistake of buying a San Fran FD because I didn't understand how the collection multiplier on, because like New York was in vanilla, if you remember that. And you remember when everybody freaked out when we learned that the mint prices were all going to raise when the collections were revealed. And so I definitely didn't know about that. So I always thought that San Fran Financial District was some special collection that paid a whole bunch. And it was going to be forever the only collection in the game that had those kinds of divs. And luckily I hesitated on my San Fran FD purchase and was able to apply that towards Manhattan collections that I feel like I did pretty good, in the hindsight, without a doubt, a Skyline collection is, probably one of the most profitable collections you can end up buying.
Yeah, well, that convinced me to do the first public, at least, mortgage with EHO 405.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
that was for a Skyline collection property because I and we can talk about this too. How many times have I said to you in DM, that's it? I can't I can't put any more. Next minute, there's a Skyline collection, and I kind of dipped into some crypto I had on the side, and I got my two beautiful big properties. And then I went to put in the collection. I was like, hang on a minute, you need 3. I was like, So yeah, that's when I reached out to EH and we got that deal. Cool.
Oh wow, I don't know that I remember that part of the story. That's kind of funny, man.
Yeah. Damn. It was certainly a heart-dropping moment when I realized, oh crap, I've only got 2 or 3. And it was sold out at that point too.
Yeah, it sure was. EHO 405 is a great dude. I don't know him in real life, but we know each other from Upland and Discord. And yeah, man, that was the right guy to do business with. He's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. Now, we kicked along a bit with all the speculation for Manhattan when it was in vanilla. And
yeah, you remember that?
I kind of said to myself at the end of that, I did fairly well, but at the end I figured like it didn't make any economic sense. Like if I had just saved all of that UpX that I spent on there and just went really deep once a collection was identified, I would have been so much better off dividends wise.
Right.
But nowadays, that's not even an option. If you don't mint when you have the chance, it's gone.
Right. Yeah. I was looking at Staten Island, and I'm in shock that there's, like, I think within hours, man, there was no non-FSA left.
I think it was 20, 30 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just nuts. And I don't know what's going to happen with Chicago and Cleveland, but I really do hope that they have a plan for when that just happens again. Like I know that if it's a top tier city, like it took a while for Manhattan to sell out because of the price tag on a lot of those parcels, especially some of the non-collection ones that were just enormous, right?
Yeah, we saw Tolga come in and eat up a heap of those,
Yeah,
and just like crazy money thrown around. Yeah.
right, right. And yeah, we just, those those players are still earning those divs. I haven't seen Tolga. Speaking of Tolga, I haven't seen him around much. I don't know if he's been playing. Maybe he's just letting his divs collect, and that's gonna be trouble for Chicago.
Yeah, well, I spoke to him not that long ago, actually. But
Okay, good.
yeah, it's not a case of the supply anymore. The demand is so far ahead of the supply that I don't think it's going to make much difference. Even if there is, really expensive
Right,
properties, I think they're just gone.
right. I think Upland needs to come up with an out of the box solution. I don't think the free for all just mint freely, even with a captcha. I think they're going to have to come up with something else.
Yeah, I spoke to Udluger about that in my prior chat, and this we've seen two trains of thought coming in the community. I know Thank Me Later's been kind of advocating for, so what if it sells out? If somebody comes on board, here's all these thousands of properties on the market. If you want to buy an NFT for a property, away you go. So there's one train of thought that's thinking like that. And originally myself, I was thinking, well, they just need to open 5 cities. How do you feel with that sort of thing?
I don't, again, going back to just my inexperience with economics, but to me, that sounds like saturation, and that it would have a really negative effect. And I feel like I'm already seeing it some when I run the numbers for the podcast that I did do that tonight. We're going to record tomorrow, but it looks like maybe opening Staten Island kind of put a little bit of a hurt on Oakland and Fresno at the same time.
Yeah.
And if they were to open 5 of them, what would that do to San Francisco and Manhattan and Oakland and Fresno and Brooklyn and Staten Island?
It's a funny one. I mean, I thought Fresno was pretty much done. So I sold 800 properties at, I think, 3,680.
Right, I remember that.
And next minute, it's 6,500. So
yeah,
it's a funny one.
Yeah, I think that they need what's called UPIC sinks and a place to dump all of these dividends that some of these players are getting. Property development would be one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Force them to spend their UPICs to speed up building.
Yeah.
And the Spark marketplace when that rolls out.
Absolutely. So it sounds like you've stopped chasing those new opportunities a bit then.
Yeah, man. I went after Stapleton in Staten Island, and that was it. I got 4 properties. I think I stole one away from 2 other players, which I kind of feel bad about, but then like on the inside, I'm kind of like, haha,
Can't be the good guy all the time.
Yeah, it was a decent sized property. Sorry, Oblando. I forget who the second one was, but yeah, I just went for those 4. I was working that day. Normally, I would have, had that been like 3 months earlier, there'd been no question I would have taken off work for it. But being that it was, a starter city, so 75% FSA, I wasn't going to put a whole lot of effort into, what would have probably ended up as a frustrating experience, and not because the app failed, just because of the competition level. I'm used to getting 90% of what's on my agenda. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I vowed that I was just going to sleep through. I wasn't going to get up for the second wave. I wasn't going to get up at 2 a.m. and do it again. But I rolled over to have a drink of water, and I happened to look at the clock, and it was bang on 2 a.m. So I was So I turned the app on, and the first thing I saw was the delay in Discord. We're going to be a 15-minute delay or something. So I thought,
Right.
oh, I'll get on and have a look. And I ended up grabbing a few that I originally wanted, and then straight back to bed.
Nice. Yeah, I'll probably hold off until I don't know which one I'm looking more forward to, Chicago or Cleveland. Probably Chicago. I hear they have neighborhoods that I might be interested in. In fact, in both cities.
Nice. Very good.
So yeah, I will probably be putting together a game plan for those.
Nice. So what future features are you most looking forward to?
I'm ready to get my Block Explorer shop opened, being completely honest. So that means property development first, you know, Spark airdrop property development, and then rolling out the first round of beta businesses, which will be Block Explorer shops. I want to, you know, obviously put that on one of my larger parcels. So the anticipation of figuring out like what am I going to need to do this? How much is it going to cost? How much Spark am I getting? Where am I going to get the rest if I need, you know, if I don't have enough? And that's kind of, you know, been eating at me for some time now. You can't really plan further without knowing those few very significant details about.
Yeah, there's a lot of unanswered questions there, and
right.
You, I think I'm a couple of years senior to you, but you've taught me a lot of lessons in the way you compose yourself and act. Like, I know from talking to you in DMs and stuff, you might be boiling away inside, but it always blows me away that you can get on the podcast and things like that and talk through things through a calm and rational perspective. Meanwhile, I'm throwing my arms up in the air and, you know, F-bombs and C-bombs. And
yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
I could definitely do that. And, you know, sometimes, believe it or not, I do probably take it a little too far in some of the private channels that we have with the Upland team. I know that there is some attitude that, or I don't know if it's attitude, is maybe a belief that moderators and UCN members do nothing but speak highly of Upland and are blinded by, and that's not the case. We are very critical at times, and to the point where it's, you know, almost crossing the line. We don't really have any business talking to the team the way that the comments are being read with the you know.
Yeah, but I think it's always comes from a place that you're trying to push for progress.
Right. Oh, yeah.
It's not being critical for critical sake.
Right. Yeah, a lot of the times I've had a suggestion and it goes, you know, just ignored because I you know, either they didn't see it or they're just not interested in implementing that. But then you see the same problem that your suggestion could have helped. It's frustrating, you know.
Yes, especially for somebody like yourself who is, you know, a code wizard and that sort of thing. You can probably think, well, this could be solved in, you know, a couple of minutes, clickety clicking.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Nice. So if we're sitting down to chat in 1 year's time, what are we going to be talking about?
We'll be on the beach, Ben. We're going to be spending a lot of time on the. I don't even like the beach, to be honest with you, but I know that that's where people like to spend time when they're loaded with money and don't have to work anymore. So
laptop,
that is my
laptop on the deck chair.
Yeah,
sipping a cocktail.
Yeah, that's my metaphor for where I see all of these early adopters who are really putting in the work to make something out of this opportunity that we all have. 2021 is going to be the year of the NFT. We're already seeing it. We're already there. And I think this time next year, we're going to have a lot of very rich people who did not have that money, you know, a year and a half prior.
Nice. How about in 5 years' time, the 5-year plan?
Well, let me see. I guess I'll be
you're on the beach in a
So
year.
I don't know
Where
that
are
I'm
you in
ever
5?
going to. I don't know that I would like. I think I found what I love, man. I really do. And I'm 43, and it's well, I'll be 43, and actually in like 2 weeks. Wow.
Nice.
I don't know that I'll ever stop being involved in this space, because that's, I found, they say when you find that thing that you can do for a living and enjoy it and love it, that you do it forever. Like I don't want to not be doing it. So I'm sure I'll be involved in one way or another. I don't know how lofty my goals are. I guess I would love to say that, I have set my kids up for life. That would be
Nice.
cool, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I always, and I think I've mentioned this to you in DMs before. Some men dream about having threesomes or Lamborghinis and stuff like that. My ultimate stretch goal is to fill up an esky, or what do you call that? A cooler.
Right.
Fill up an esky full of beer with a deck chair, sit out the front of my house and watch the bulldozers come in and just level the whole thing. Take up the concrete slab, the whole lot. Let's start again.
Yeah.
That's my idea of a good time.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, especially like we were lucky where we are. The real estate market where I live on the Gold Coast is just insane. Like, I don't know what it's like for yourself, but it's pushing up to near $1 million here, which is
Wow.
ridiculous considering it's not Sydney or Melbourne or anywhere like that.
Right.
And we were very lucky to get into a place when we did by the skin of our teeth. But yeah, everywhere I look, oh, that's going to cost 10 grand to fix. That's 5 grand to fix. That's 25 grand. Got to replace the roof. Just I keep saying to my wife, just bulldoze the whole lot, start again.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of, that's what we're, Chica and I, that's what we're doing right now. The winter storm that we talked about earlier caused some significant damage to our plumbing in the floors, and all of that had to be ripped up and ripped out. And while they were in there, we figured just go ahead and do, X, Y, and Z also.
Yeah.
So we've been kind of moving from Airbnb to Airbnb. The one that we've been in here now is we just ended up renting like a home. Like you were actually going to just move in and sign a rental agreement on a month-to-month basis. So that's where we're at now on a long-term deal. And when we get back, I think, well, you know what? I think I'm going out to California. I don't know if I'm allowed to drop that little teaser, but
yes, I did hear some rumors about that, and I'm pretty excited for how that could all eventuate. Pretty excited for yourself and for everybody involved.
And when we get back, Chica and I will be looking to start our new home. Awesome. We're either going to sell or rent our current one. I guess depending on how much work that ends up being. Yeah. I think the logical and the smart thing would be to rent and keep your equity, but we'll take a look and we'll see.
How have you talked to that with the kids?
Say again?
Have you spoken about that with your kids yet?
Yeah, they're definitely excited. My two oldest live with their mother, and our two Chicas, like they are really young. Yeah. We have a 2 and a 7-month-old, so they don't know the difference. Yeah, they don't care. But my two oldest they're out with their mother and they go to school there.
Nice. Moving on to UDU stuff. We know that this is like what should be the final stage in an evolution of this project, which it went through, the Evil Empire, the Midtown Terrace United, and then the Upland Development United. But there was a stage before that kind of kicked this all off, and that's the reason why you're member number 2. Can you speak to that?
So that would be oh God, you put me on the spot. It was before the Evil Empire. What would that be?
That was when I first reached
Samurai
out
Aquatics.
to you. Yeah, Samurai Aquatics.
Yeah, Samurai Aquatics is where it all started.
because I knew I had my business idea. I knew what I wanted to do, having zero artistic talent whatsoever, and seeing what you were able to pump out with that Custom Explorer, I kind of reached out and sent you some ideas and a bit of a proposal, and whatever.
Yeah, man. And I did that logo for you, and yeah, we're gonna do some more designs, and I'll put some cool stuff out there. Pools, and I guess you could probably explain it better.
Oh yeah, gardens and sky's the limit, really. But yeah, it was through the conversations with you and, you know, your feedback and thinking it was a good idea. That's when I went hunting for a home. And I remember sending you a few screenshots of some different places I had in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that looks cool. But I wasn't really sold on it until I went hunting for I just thought, oh, there's got to be an aqua something. And
right.
That's when I found Aqua Vista.
Yeah, and you bought that huge property where the guy didn't collect the divs on, and you got what, like 4K off?
9, I think it was 9.5.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So that was a nice bonus. Yeah, so you were in from before it was even a thing.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome. Number 2. So that's how you got involved, and that's how long you've been involved.
Yeah.
Why did you get involved?
Oh man, I mean, I've said this before. I'm a big fan of Ben 68. You know, I might be the biggest fan.
Sweet.
I don't know if anybody wants to challenge me on that, but yeah, man. I think you're a great and funny, you know, good intentioned person, and I love supporting you know, those types of people, and anything that I can do to further and better them in their pursuits, man, I'm all in on it. And I guess that's the reason why I was so quickly a yes on everything. And
I appreciate it.
I'm really excited to see where this is going to go. I know that I don't know if we talked about the.
No, I was just going to get to that. Like, you were on board with Samurai Aquatics and my business side of things. You already just by chance happened to have properties in the Midtown Terrace United, both yourself and Chica. So you're kind of loosely involved through that. But then it was, and you might have seen it, I described it as I was a bit shy to ask the pretty girl out to the dance, yourself being the pretty girl, and yourself and your little Italy team being the pretty girls. I reached out and we went from there. Do you want to speak to how all that eventuated?
Right. So yeah, I guess you reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in bringing the Little Italy team on under the UDU umbrella, and I spoke to BDAG and others, and we set up a Zoom call with yourself and Venom, and I think it was DJ Shorts and BDAG and myself, and yeah, man, we were all in on it. And I know that things have kind of gotten a little bit haywire since then, because there's just so many things that are just always coming down the pipeline. But when I'm really looking forward to making like the really big and significant contributions will be once that business beta releases, because we'll have at least 2 and likely, you know, up to 4, I would say, business licenses under that LIU umbrella. And that's going to bring, I feel like, a lot of opportunity, especially early on with like the Block Explorer shops. I know that a lot of them are tied up in licenses that aren't inside the UDU. And so I'm really looking forward to being able to bring the transparency as to what's going on, because even though it's a different business license and it's a different shop, I feel like for the decor shop owners like yourself, it's going to be important to see how the things work and operate, so you guys can get the jump when it comes time for you to open up your shops for the decor.
It's the 17th of May here, my time. I guess it's the 16th for you. And we have seen today a bit of finger pointing, tinfoil hat stuff kick off about, what is the UDU, that's a secret
Right. Yeah.
society, blah, blah, blah.
Glad you brought this up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of the problem is that we're so stalled for property development. We're so stalled for business development. I think once those things kick off, people will see what we're actually doing and, what we're all about. And if I could just speak to that a bit too, like we know the Midtown Terrace United is a neighbourhood and we're going to be building that area, and the Balboa Terrace United, that's its own neighbourhood with a certain group of people. Now, Little Italy United it's different. It's what we're calling an affiliate node. So do you want to speak to how that's different from, say, the MTU or the BTU?
Well, I mean, we kind of had established somewhat of a brand going into the merger, right? Or the partnership or the affiliation, whatever word you can use whatever word you want. I'm okay with all of them because we're all working together, right, for a common goal. Having established somewhat of a brand, we already kind of had a game plan that we had, that we were putting out and putting forward there. Once things start unfolding for the business licenses and the building and all that, we're going to be focusing primarily, obviously, in Fresno, which I feel like that in of itself kind of makes it different, right? Because if I'm not mistaken, all of UDU is in either San Francisco. There's nothing in Fresno, correct?
There is talk. There's two players who reached out yesterday to talk about one potential node kicking off. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, so at the time it was only Little Italy, Fresno, which is 80%, which I know that you guys have done. I know you have a threshold and a benchmark that you guys set for neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And I know that's going to be increasingly more difficult to hit. I don't know if you were able to in Staten Island or.
Well, I think we're going to have the opposite problem. We're just crunching the numbers, especially with the multilingual branch that we got going on.
Sure.
Yeah, it looks like by the time I speak to the European players and we get those guys coordinated, we will be going into Chicago and what's the other city?
Cleveland.
Cleveland. We'll potentially be going into those with over 1,000 members minting in one area.
Yeah.
So we'll be essentially fighting each other for the properties on those. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out. And like Little Italy is not tied to only Little Italy neighborhoods. The way you've set that up, it's my understanding that that's your brand, and you can branch out. The same that the UDU is an umbrella brand. Well, the LIU is pretty much its own umbrella brand as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We do have, the upland.li website and working on, just various projects. I think what our team does best is
winning.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. A lot of winning.
Yep.
And it's, I don't mean to brag, but like we will usually win anything that Upland puts out there in some fashion. And so that's pretty cool. But we have, obviously a lot of experience in this game. So that definitely comes in handy.
I had some players reach out to me, and what is it, the Rising Star Challenge, the most collections?
Oh, right, yeah.
They'd say, can you guys help sponsor me so I can win that? And I say, just give me a second, and I check out the bot feed. And I'm like, don't even bother, mate. The Little Italy team, they're all over it. Yeah. And there was also some controversy kicked off in the background. Is it Clever?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think he might have minted two of those. Was it the 1.5 million auction?
Yeah, he sure did.
Or something? And there was a lot of questions raised about him, possibly using multi-accounts and whatever. And I said, mate, there's no way they're going to risk any of that.
Right. Yeah.
There may be some, loophole or grey area that you may have, played with or whatever. But it's nothing nefarious.
I don't even know what I was doing during that, but I was busy with something that I didn't. I think that was the day that we were going live on the podcast, and which, speaking of which, I still need to get that. I need to get that giveaway done, man.
What time you got that scheduled for?
I mean, in the next hour.
Okay.
I want to record it and make sure that it's out. It'll be fully auditable because I'm using random.org to do it, but I just
And you've
wanted to
been
make sure
passionate
that,
about that side of things as well.
yeah, I mean, that's just another thing that I suggested for feedback. I mean, how many times I had already seen the community say, like, hey, we can't see all our names on that wheel. How do we know that we did X, Y, and Z of the, of the requirements?
Yeah.
And there's no answer, or the answer was zoom in on, just ridiculous. And if you use the right tools, then you don't have to worry about that. If somebody has a question, they can just go look themselves. And
Now, I did cut you off before too when I mentioned the tinfoil hat stuff that was kicking off. Did you have something you wanted to say about
so
that?
I'm sorry, what I had heard was that there was some exclusivity and like, well, so there's nothing wrong with being exclusive, right? And in fact, when you're exclusive, sometimes it's even more desirable. So, right, like not everybody can own a property on Fifth Ave because it's exclusive. And that's just, that is what it is. But there's a point where it can become a negative, and when you're not welcoming in players who want to be a part of the team, and for the ones who are on the team, you're being a bit feeling like your actions are being controlled, which I can tell you, like being number 2, I've seen this whole thing evolve over this entire time. And I can absolutely say that like none of that is true or accurate. If you join the UDU, there, just like any organization, there's guidelines. I mean, and you're just asked to follow those guidelines. It's very simple. There's, I don't know. I feel like if there's anything negative being said, it's by somebody who got their feelings hurt over, something that was probably their fault to begin with.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And yeah, I should say too, you are involved in everything that we do. I mean, you're in the academy, you have access to that server, you're in the
Right.
UDU server, you are on the, what we call, it's a bit wanky, but we call it the boardroom.
Sure. Yeah.
There's everything's out in the open.
Right. I mean, if anything, honestly, the guidelines aren't strict enough from my point of view, but that's just, you guys do such a great job, man. You really give the players the latitude and the ability to be creative, and you accept in all of their ideas. And, there's nothing negative that I could say about the thing that you've developed, and not just, you and the team have developed with the UDU. It's pretty incredible watching it start from, where it did and getting to where it's now. And I wouldn't have a negative thing to say about it. And anybody who has something negative to say is a liar. So,
yeah, well, I mean, it's just started from a conversation between yourself and I, and just getting other passionate people on board. I mean, that's what it's about. I've had people say things like, "Oh, you must be rich," and things like this, because look what you've built. I'm like, that's not what I've built, mate. That's not what it's about at all.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's not even close to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not rich. I'm far from it, but we've been able to, work at what we want to accomplish, and, had some luck here and there, but it's not about, in my opinion, just being a whale and going in and whaling stuff. And
no, not at all.
Right. Yeah.
So what else do you think we could do to help address those issues, or just within the UDU ourselves branching out? What else could we do?
Well, I mean, every time I've seen somebody express interest it's been welcomed with open arms. So I don't see any area of opportunity there. I understand that if things are just are slow because the game is slow, that there's not a whole lot that you can do about that. I don't. That's a great question. I would say maybe. I don't know, man. You got me stumped on that one. That's a tough one.
You were busy
We're in a
yesterday.
tough spot.
Yeah,
Huh?
you were busy yesterday. We had a kind of an internal meeting trying to nut out like our core values, our mission, and all of
Right.
that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. That's basically, assuming I don't get called into work tomorrow, that's going to be my main focus. I've got a lot of notes and stuff to work through that a whole
Right.
bunch of members have put through. I'm going to hopefully put that together as like a one pager and just get that out in the public.
Right.
Yeah.
So that it can be, the transparency of what guidelines and values are expected of members, right?
Absolutely. And just in wrapping up, we have the debut of the Little Italy United logo. Would you like to talk us through that, just to finish us off?
Well, so I took the MTU logo, and at first I took the words off the bottom and the top of the bottom, and everybody can. I would hope that you can recognize what that building is, the Coliseum. So I put the Coliseum in there, and then let me see, right here we have Lamario. So if you're new to Upland, you might not know who Lamario is, but he's Miles' shady uncle. He might be in the mob. We don't really know.
No.
He doesn't talk about it much, and he's been through some exploits. He had a heist on Christmas that the Upland community helped track down where he was stealing and causing mischief. And then again for the Easter event, him and his relatives were back at it. So that's just a character that I came up with for the Upland LI brand. And then obviously next to Lamario, we got Michelle, because it couldn't be an LIU logo without Michelle in it. And just underneath, I got business and residential development, which is pretty standard across all of the UDU nodes.
Absolutely. Very good. Well, thank you for taking the time to sit down and have a chat. And
yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Things. And let's get going with some property and business development.
Yeah, let's do it.
Alrighty, mate. Appreciate everything you do, and as always, from a personal level and from like a more of a business level as well.
All right. Thanks so much, man. You have a
Cheers,
good one.
Mate.